What up, G Life? It's your boy MC Shadow back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. That is how you on my channel get into the algorithm. Highly appreciate you go ahead and do that. Now, what I wanted to talk about was actually a conversation I was having with an individual, right? A pretty trippy conversation, right? But it's not the first time that I've been told, stuff like this. And he was like, "What are my thoughts on people who are snitches calling other people snitches? Like, um, are people like that still considered gangsters now? If they snitched a while back ago, right? Is that why they tend to do it?" And to be honest with you, I don't know, because I never have heard of such a thing, right? Like a snitch calling another person a snitch, because usually what happens when somebody snitches is that he no longer wants to be a part of the games, right? He no longer wants to be in the mix. He no longer wants to be a gangster. Technically, you no longer want to be a gangster. That's why you're telling. So you're giving it up. So therefore, by you giving it up, you're giving up everything that comes with it, all the gang shit, all the kicking it and with the homies and your nickname and all of that is in the past. Now you are whatever your birth name is, right? And now you are no longer associating with anything that has to do with gangs, right? Because you're now looking to turn over a new leaf, right? So you're leaving all of that behind. So therefore, you are no longer involving yourself in any gang topics or conversations or speaking about, anything that has to do with gangs, because you have now chosen to leave that life behind. You no longer want to be a part of that. So therefore, why would somebody who doesn't want to be a part of that still speak about it, still indulge in all of that? The only reason I think why somebody would still want to speak on stuff like that or still involve themselves with gangster talk is if they still want to be gangsters, if they still want to, participate in just, even if it's just discussion, but still to hold on to, at least reminiscing of when they used to be gangster. Right, so still wanting to be involved with, something that has to do with gangster, right? It's like they want to be gangster, but at the same time they don't want to do none of the gangster stuff, right? Like they just want to be, I guess, respected or be seen as gangster, right? Like to have the conversations and be seen as one, and to be seen as like down, but without actually being down. If that makes any sense, I know it really doesn't. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I could think of why somebody, would do that, right? Like somebody who snitch, they themselves calling other people snitches now is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You know what I mean? Because they themselves told. So why would they try to downplay somebody else if they themselves have told? Like you are no different than these individuals. So like, by them describing them in a degrading way or anything like that, I mean, only is speaking on himself as well, right? So it wouldn't make any sense of why they would do that, unless they're trying to trick people into believing that they're not snitches. But if they have snitched, that wouldn't make any sense, right? Because they actually have snitched. So why would they try to trick people otherwise? I think it would have to. I think, in my personal opinion, I think it's a personality disorder, right? I think, like, I think that they are struggling on finding out who they truly are, right? Like, I think they want to be one person, but they cannot no longer be that person because, the gang world, because of the rules and how he broke them, he just can no longer be anything like that, right? And he just is not willing to accept that, right? So he's gonna come and build an illusion, right? Like lie to people in order for him to, I guess, in his own little world, to be seen as gangster, right? That way it makes him feel better about himself. So I think it has to do with the person in himself, right? Like having a struggle and a battle of accepting, his choices, or accepting, his character now, right? You know, um, it's strange though in general, right? But he was saying that there's a few people on here that do that, right? And I don't know. I just find that really hard to believe. I'm not saying that you're lying, my boy, or anything like that. But I find it really hard to believe that someone who's actually snitched or left that life behind will still try to trick people or still talk about gangster shit because he's putting himself now in harm's way, his life in jeopardy, because he snitched. He is a target now. So the fact that he's still engaging or injecting himself in gangster topics is only going to bring heat. You know what I mean? And even worse, to try to trick people to believing that they're still gangster when they're not. You know what I mean? That's the reason why they told. Get what I'm saying? I'm not here to humiliate people like that or talk down on people, or anything like that, right? I'm just calling it for what it is. People could choose to do whatever they want with themselves. I'm just a firm believer that nobody forces you to do nothing that you don't want to, right? And that you should own up to all your decisions, right? If you chose to do something, then man up and handle the consequences like everybody else, right? Like, you can't try to blame people for your mistakes, right? Because you chose this, you chose to be a part of this, you chose to do this and that. So why is it now the blame game, right? So and just that's my firm belief that you gotta man up to your choices. You know what I'm saying? But overall, yeah, if it does happen, I guess, but I don't see why somebody would do that, right? Unless they're having a struggle within themselves of accepting who they are, right? They're having a hard time accepting that this is the person that they are, that they were never this other person, because maybe they like being that other person because whatever, they created in their head. Overall, stay in school, and you know what I mean? Don't fall into the nonsense because this is all bullshit. You get nothing out of the streets. And why these individuals would still want to portray that, I have no idea. That's crazy. You would think, you got another choice, bro, so you would think they would move ahead, right? Move on with their life, right? But like I said, bro, they want to pull a facade. If it's happening on here, then it's just to trick individuals because they're looking to get money. And since they know about this, right? Because this is what they at one point used to be, or at least pretended to be. They're hoping that with that they could use that to cash in, even if they have to lie. Because there couldn't be no other explanation. But overall, that's just my thoughts. I know I didn't really do a good job, explaining it right, because it's just something that I just see as strange, or why would anybody do that, right? But it was a trippy conversation. I'm just saying, shut up, we up.